About 26 hours after Russia first invaded Ukraine, my colleague Ali Velshi spoke with Alexander Tkachenko, Ukraine's Minister of Culture and Information Policy, who was sitting in a car outside Kyiv.
You do not feel that they're going to succeed in taking out your administration and your government?
No way.
What will you do if they occupy Kyiv? What happens? What are your contingency plans? Will you go west to Lviv? Will you form a government in exile if the Russians force you to?
They will never take Kyiv.
After that interview, Ali Velshi was joined on the air by retired four-star General Barry McCaffrey, who served in the U.S. Army for more than 3 decades. General McCaffrey said it was very touching, listening to Tkachenko's words, said it was astonishing how Ukraine's leadership stepped up to this, quote, massive imbalance of forces. Since then, Ukrainians have continued to show remarkable bravery and resourcefulness. The harsh reality is that the Russian military is bigger and stronger, and as we have seen over the last few days, they are willing to use force against civilians. To talk about the capabilities and capacity of the Russian military, I'm joined now by General Barry McCaffrey. General, it's good to have you on. Just strictly from a sort of military standpoint here, from all that I have seen, the reporting I've read, the people I've even interviewed, there does seem consensus that this initial phase of the Russian assault has gone poorly. It has not met the short-term tactical and strategic aims of the Russian military. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, it's remarkable. At the operational level of war, this massive Russian invasion force, air, ground, sea, amphibious capabilities, they had weeks to plan the thing. They've ended up in an armored movement to contact to seize a big city where their frontage is 1 vehicle wide and they're stalled. It looks like a parking lot in places. It's going to take them a long time to unscrew this mess. A company you can pull together in a couple of hours, but an army, they're not off the roads. They're not in assembly areas. They are having logistics problems, and these brave Ukrainians are fighting at the point of the spear. But Chris, some tough days lie ahead.
Yeah.
They've been told by Putin, you'd better grab Kyiv, and so they're going to try and do it. The Ukrainians will fight inside the city and devour Russian infantry, but it'll knock down the city and kill a lot of civilians.
Yeah, I mean, I want to sort of be as clear-eyed as possible here, because I think there's a sense that this has gone poorly for the Russians so far, and the Ukrainians have been incredibly resourceful. But we have seen, what they're capable, both willing to do and capable of doing to civilian blocks of population centers. They have tremendous advantage in firepower. I mean, it's going to be very difficult, right, for the Ukrainians to sustain resistance if this drags on weeks and weeks.
Well, I actually think, if the Ukrainians decide to fight it out to the death, if they have 30,000 individual fighters in the city of Kyiv, it could stretch out for a month. And it could, I suppose, change the political calculus that Putin has to think through. I mean, he's under this enormous strategic peril now. NATO rearming, the Germans doubling their defense budget for next year, and economic sanctions and the scorn of the world community. So it's possible, I suppose, that these brave Ukrainians could force a draw. But I think the Russians are under no misconception that Putin's going to have them shot if they don't get into that city. So we'll have to see how it comes out. It's a tragedy. Putin's already lost the war strategically. This won't be over. This is a 10-year event he just signed up for. And how could he govern this impoverished country? So he's in trouble.
Yeah, your point there. I mean, we kept saying this, and we said it even on the program in the run-up to this, where it looked like this might happen. It was threatening to happen. The and then what question seemed incredibly unanswered. I remember feeling that way about the U.S. war in Iraq, the and then what question. And here, we're not to the and then what. We're in the midst of this horrible humanitarian disaster we're watching people die and be killed. But what even victory would look like at this point, I think, has to feel incredibly abstract from the Russian perspective.
Yeah, well, at some point, they got to put 10, 15 battalions into Kyiv and fight block by block and fire main guns into buildings, and they'll start firing artillery of 5,000 to 15,000 rounds a day. It won't be precision strikes with a dozen missiles. In the meantime, the rest of Europe's going to see millions of these desperate people, many of them mothers and with small children, fleeing into Poland, Romania, Moldova, etc. So Putin's got himself in such a fix, and I, for the life of me, can't see how he backs out, not just politically. I don't think he's got command control over these forces anymore. How does he extricate them to do something different?
Elaborate on that last point.
Well, once you got an army committed to movement, and they're stuck on roads, and in one video I'm watching, it's 3 lanes wide. There's no return lane, for God's sake.
Right.
The ground's gone marshy. As of the great thaw is 9 March. So they're already having trouble getting off roads. But just the planning, he didn't put discrete packages of battalion combat teams down these hardtop roads. He got it all stuck in a mess. Unraveling this thing is going to take him days.
I see. So you're saying the sheer logistics of essentially trying to, if you were to say effectuate a U-turn, if you were to say for whatever reason, for a calculation to cut your losses, or you come up with some face-saving talks in Minsk, you declare a ceasefire or something like that, just the sheer logistical situation right now is there, even just that would be difficult to reverse course.
Yeah, I'm watching video of SP-152 artillery vehicles that fell off the side of the road and they're abandoned. There's no vehicle tracked recovery going on. There was a sort of a funny, not funny, video of gypsies who stole a tank that had been abandoned on the road. One of the Ukrainians was laughing about it. So this does not look like a blitzkrieg. It looks like, a mess, and I'm surprised at it. The Russian soldiers, by the way, have first-rate equipment. They're brave people. There's no question about that. They'll follow orders. Their officers are on their 5th invasion now, right? And they think they won the last 4. So now they've put Mr. Putin over a barrel. They're not going to be able to deliver the goods without killing a load of people in Kyiv and Kharkiv and down south in Odessa. They're just stuck in a mess. And meanwhile, apparently the agency and the Europeans are still able to get, I'm surprised, Stingers and Javelin missile systems and ammunition into, and are trying to distribute them to fighting units. So the battle looms, the big battle looms in the next 72 hours. But right now, the Ukrainians actually strategically are winning. Time is their ally.
All right, General Barry McCaffrey, thank you very much. That was really illuminating. I appreciate that.